Welcome everybody to our November public community meeting of the Montalvo Area Community Council. My name is Cassie Lawhead. I am the interim chair. We have most of our board members here tonight, okay? In the back we have Carba, down here we have Mark Abbey, over here is James Lowry. We will be shuffling our positions soon with your vote at the end of this meeting, so we'll talk about that later. We have a very full agenda tonight, and we are recording for all of our members who can't be here at this moment. So we're gonna go ahead and kick it off with Assistant Chief Kane. We'll come up and make our crime report. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you.
Hi, thanks once again for having me. So I am your district commander. Even though I made assistant chief in June, I kept Montalvo, so I'm happy actually for that too. The way our rank structure is, besides David, our chief Dickey, the commanders, assistant chiefs get districts as well. So I'm happy to be here. I'm going to run through stats, and then there were some questions that came up on a recent arrest. I'll get to that too. I have 10 minutes, so I'm always available. I know I've reached out. A few of you have reached out to me via email in between our quarterlies. Please do that. It's mcain, so MCAIN @venturapd.org. And I'm yours, so I'm happy to be of assistance. Like I said, I always these nights are good. The map I passed out is essentially, like I've always talked about, kind of dots on a map, but I can dig into a little bit of the details. We talk about clusters, we talk about trends and stuff like that. The good news is, so we go back a couple quarters, and overall reporting, we're down in the last quarter. So total crimes, remember, we're dealing with our national database now, not the other numbers. So we report everything basically through the FBI, and so that's why these numbers from the UCRs that were a lot lower. You come into a house and commit a crime, everything gets reported from, if you had drugs on you, whatever, that's all gets stacked up. So over the going couple back, so we're at 90 total reported. Last time I was here, it was 97. And then prior to that, it was 104. So we're down. We dig into the ones that kind of pop out. So assault offenses, remember before I used to report on basically felony assaults. Now that number captures anything. And the majority of these I've talked about before with the assaults or the domestic violence, which, we go out and deal with domestic violence, obviously, but it also gets reported. And nothing crazy with those. Also, we get into all of our misdemeanor batteries. So anytime someone commits a battery and we go out and either cite and release a person or take them to jail for battery or just take a report, those also get reported. So it kind of drives them up. The burglaries, when we get to that 7 number, we're heavy in this district with basically all of our retail, and all that stuff, whether or not it's residential or commercial, gets reported under there. So the majority of those, again, come from shoplifts and are commercial burglaries. So you enter a business and steal, that's what it's classified as. Nothing too of note with those. I will skip down real quick though when we think about theft. And we have that larceny number, which is pretty big. That cluster basically is Poinsettia Plaza, Aldi, Petco. So then we go into our thefts, whether it's theft from unlocked vehicle or theft from a person, it's all kind of clustered in there. So we jump to the vandalisms, 8, which we're a big district. Anytime something gets vandalized, whether it's graffiti or not, obviously gets reported. The drug offenses. So remember, with NIBRs, we're reporting when we arrest people for drug-related offenses, it gets reported. And that number, we still make quality of life arrests. So if we get out to a call and, or we stop someone and they do have drugs on them, we still arrest them, whether that's a cite and release or they go to jail. And that number, again, big number. That extortion, blackmail, that was kind of a weird one. It was actually a sextortion, and I can't really get into full details on that, but an arrest was made. Fraud, your simple frauds, again, not huge. I already spoke to the larceny being high, and again, big district, lots of thefts, and then the cluster you see again is down in the Poinsettia Plaza area. Did have 2 motor vehicle thefts, totally unrelated. One of them, the person had gotten medical attention out of the vehicle, and it was left, and eventually it was stolen, which bad scenario. But that was one of them. The other one was a random. And then again, stolen property offenses kind of fall into its own category, but that's an arrest with somebody with stolen property on them. So that's how we get to that number. I know I run through those quick. At the top, crime incidents 90, crime offenses 116, because you have 90 calls that generate 116 offenses. So does that make sense? I can get into the residential burglary arrests that we made that I had a question on back on the 17th of October, unless there's questions on the crime stats. Anyone? Again, if you do have a question on a specific crime in the district, please reach out to me. I'll research the report number, pull the report, and give you anything that I can on it. So on Geneva Street, on 1017 at like 3:30 in the morning, this did make the paper. We had a subject who apparently, the resident, she was home alone with her kids, and he got into her backyard and at one point got under her house and undressed in the process. And then when he got to the bedroom window, he was nude, and tapping on the glass, kind of acting obviously strange. She calls the police, and we got there with about a minute and arrested him. And he had started to remove the screen, started to open the window, and actually during the interview was planning on going inside. So again, it's good response by us, good call by her. Our dispatcher stayed on the line with her the whole time. She got to a safe place, just like we talk about, and waited for us, which is phenomenal. She moved around the house too with her cell phone, and was able to dispatch officers exactly where we needed to be. A question came up about his recent release. So doing a little dive, so he was arrested. We arrested him on 10/17. He had been released from county jail on 10/14, so a couple days before. But that arrest was from Oxnard. It was theft and drug related, and he'd actually been in jail about 5 weeks on that. So was released, and then 3 or 4 days later, like I said, was arrested for burglary. I did talk to and kind of reached out to the DA on this, and it's being filed, and it goes back to court on 12/2, and the burglary charges will be filed. Again, different than a business. You try and get into someone's house. It's different. It's residential, and people still do go to jail for that, and then hopefully do some time for it as far as what's appropriate. Okay, so what was the other question? So the first question is, has he been released again? No, he's still in jail. 12/2 is the... Yes.
And then if a resident was to defend himself in that circumstance, what are the rights?
Yeah, so in California, you have the right to basically defend yourself against any great bodily harm. And on your property, you have that right. Now, it gets a little bit more as far as deadly force. It's when someone comes in your house, it even escalates it in California. It's all reasonable. On the property, if you are in fear, it's reasonable. In the house in California, again, it escalates a little bit, just like it jumps from a theft to a burglary. You do have the right to defend your castle. So those rules, in California stand. Again, everything is on the reasonableness scale. If the person's presenting a threat to you immediately to your person, and they're on your property, then you can defend yourself. And then like I said, it goes up the scale once they're inside. The question always comes, yes, you can defend yourself. And if that goes up to deadly force and it was reasonable, they're in your house and you're in fear for your life, you have to go case by case, but that's how it stands. You can defend your property and you can defend your residence. Does that answer the question? Another question for Neighborhood Watch, right? So we have, I'm trying to think the last time we had a Neighborhood Watch in this district. Questions out there, it's been a while, right? So we have it all set up on our website for basically how to get involved in that. And you can click on a link and it basically, the person that's organizing it gets together, creates the meeting. And then once the first meeting is created, then all the things are on their website. Basically, we'll get you a sign or signs, the Neighborhood Watch signs. The rules with that is there has to be one meeting that was formed, and the plan would be that it's ongoing. And then also I can be reached out to also to either show up for first couple meetings or send an officer, a beat officer, to also join in on those meetings for Neighborhood Watch. So it's a great thing. It takes, just like anything else, a partnership and somebody willing to either come to a community location or their own house and get together and talk about what that means. And the signs are good, they're deterrents, but with us, with the website, click on it and it's all right there. It's the venturapd.org, our main website. It actually has a tab for if you click down, there you go. And all the rules are there. It's like I'm out of time. And I'm more than happy to facilitate if someone wants to get it started. And then the signs are available as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have time for more questions?
Sure.
Do you deal with traffic?
Somewhat, yes. I deal with everything.
We have a phenomenon in California, it's called the gliding stop sign. And it occurs right at Montalvo Hill Park. We live across the street. And I talked to an officer a week ago, like there were a dozen of them at the park. And I asked them, what do we do? People speed up the hill and then they glide.
The California stop.
Yeah, California. And here we are. I mean, I'm 87. We live across the street from an over 55 unit. There's a kids play in that park. Okay? And I've talked to a number of times to different police officers. What can we do?
So just mentioning it here, I'll mention it to our traffic unit. And what we can do is be more of a presence at that stop sign. So in California, that 22458 is a vehicle code. You have to come to complete stop. There's not a 1-1000, 2-1000, but it's a complete stop behind the limit line, and they have to go. If they're rolling the stop at any speed, it's a violation. So I can get you some. It's right that I know what stop sign you're talking about. And I'm not going to. You put a unit out there, put a motor officer out there, it'll temporarily, but just the visual presence will definitely.
And going up the hill, by the way, there's a sign that says basically no trucks. Okay? Forget that.
Yeah.
Anybody can come up there.
Let me get on the mic for our friends on the video. This is a concerned resident who lives at the corner of Hill Road,
Crossbill and Tanager.
Crossbill and Tanager, and there's a hill there. People come up the hill and they roll through the stop sign.
Yeah, and then the people come in the other direction on both ways. It's a three-way stop.
Three-way stop,
They all glide.
all gliding through, they're rolling through. And so this resident has spoken with the police and wants to know how they can make the neighborhood safer because elderly people live there and there's a 55 and over community. And so we're concerned about our neighbors and the kids at the park as well.
It's right below the park.
Yeah, so
So, and then I can email me also, and so I can use that information to relay it to our traffic division, and we can get a better presence.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Assistant Chief. Thank you so much. Yes. We're going to invite up our esteemed city council member who represents District 6, and there's a great segue here because I asked Mr. Duran, please come up. Please come up. This is Jim Duran, if you don't know, who represents our district, to address the issue that our district bears the weight of release from Ventura County Jail. So we had somebody who was released and three days later was breaking into a home in our neighborhoods. And so I know hopefully you'll be able to address that a little bit. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed that golf clap. That was good. Thank you. Well, so your first question, or the first thing that you would like me to respond to or talk about is that, and I think the reason is because we have been working on. We've been talking about this for decades, how to get people back to their city after they were arrested, and mainly our focus was people that were unhoused, people that didn't have a place to go. Because if you get arrested and you end up in Ventura. Why go? This is a great place to live, right? A lot of them, what we found out, and we started working on this we've been talking about it for a long time, but we started working on this, a year and a half ago or so. And we were trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to make this happen? 2 years ago, I was working with Assemblymember Bennett, and he just couldn't, he said, I got to give it back to you. You got to work with the county directly. So Supervisor Levere and our sheriff and our police chief and a couple of assistant sheriffs, we all met and we said, how can we work together and get those that are homeless? Because if people, we found out that people that get arrested from another city that are homeless and then they get released in Ventura, 23% of them commit a crime within 30 days. They're rearrested within 30 days. And a lot of them are survival crimes, or, like they're robberies, or some of them are stealing to get money to buy their drugs, whatever the case is. And so we thought, okay, well, there's another aspect to this too. Like, how about the person themselves? They're actually from a different area. So how cruel is it to actually arrest somebody and just leave them here? They have a support group. There's the trauma that it causes when you're in a place you don't know. I mean, of course they're going to reoffend. Of course they're going to commit crimes. And so how could we get them back? So we met, we talked about it, and right now we're in a pilot program. The city of Ventura passed a policy that said, we want to support the county in what they're doing in regards to getting people back. So right now, when people are arrested and it's time for them to be released, the sheriffs are asking them, or county sheriffs are asking, would you like a ride back? Not, here's a bus token and try to make it back, because honestly, I don't even know if I could get to Simi Valley on the bus, right? I don't know. But instead of that, they're saying, would you like to get a ride back? And then if they say yes, which is in a lot of cases, yeah, why wouldn't I want to go back? Then our PTF, our Patrol Task Force, are called, and then we pick them up and we take them back, and we just don't drop them off. We take them back to where they want to go, and that could be at a mom's house or someplace at a friend's house or whatever the case is. So they're just not dumped on the street. If they don't have a place to go, they just say, I want to go back to my city. Then we'll contact a social service agency that might give them a meal and help them get resources to get back on their feet. That's the goal. And so right now, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but probably about 10 a month or so we're getting back. And over 3 months, that's 30 people that aren't here, and they're back in their cities. So it is working. We're going to get more data, and I know we're working on some other things to do more of an in-reach versus an outreach, and it's good. There's more to come on that. I just can't reveal all of that right now because we're working on it, but it's working. And it's awesome. So thank you for asking that. I'm going to share some things about District 6, Montalvo Buenaventura Golf Course. Badly damaged during the storms in 2023. Any golfers in here? Okay, perfect. 14 holes reopened on May 2nd, and then the other 4 reopened on August 18th. The last 4 holes are not fully restored, but golfers can currently play 18 holes. And then while the city continues to work on the flood protection and securing funding for completing the repairs. So one day they will be completely done. They will be, which is great. Now, the Olivas Park extension, and the levee project, I can't forget the levee project because that's a big part of it, is moving forward, and it is on schedule. It's a 2-year construction project that will create new a new connection between Johnson Drive and Olivas, and giving residents easier access to the harbor and helping traffic flow more smoothly. Because you'll note, you'll see Victoria coming home and going. It's packed, right? Packed. It's because so many people from Oxnard are coming up, and obviously coming down, but really from Oxnard. Well, now instead of going through the automotive center like they do right now, they just go Victoria. It's easier, straight shot to the freeway. But now they can make that, when that gets built, they can make that right on Olivas Park, and that'll take them straight to the freeway to get up on the freeway, which will be alleviate a lot of congestion. This project is going to build about 4,500 feet of brand new road. It's also going to fix and improve sidewalks and pavement on the roads and that connects on each end. So all the sidewalk repair, all that stuff's going to be great. The project's also going to add a new traffic signal at Perkin Avenue, and it's going to build a separate class 1 bike and walking path next to the road. So we're going to be able to get to the harbor easier. It's going to be easier access there on the bike. It's going to manage stormwater, extend water and sewer lines underneath the roadway. It's a super awesome project. And the project's also going to include about 5,400 feet of new levee that will run roughly parallel to the new road. The levee will be built using masonry flood wall, packed earth, protective rocks along the slopes, and floodgates. I want to let you know that the Olivas Park Drive and Auto Center, the project's a $51 million project. $10 million is coming in cash from the property owners, as well as they donated a bunch of soil, they donated a bunch of land, and they have the long-term maintenance agreement to maintain the levee. So it's a super great project. That area is going to be one of our main sources of economic development. Because right now, all that land out there, people won't come and put businesses in that spot because there's no road. And so they don't want to deal with it. And you know that the automotive centers are actually our number one tax generator in the city of Ventura. We make the most sales tax, the most in that area. And it's roughly $5 to $6 million a year. With that area being developed, it could easily double our tax revenue, which, you want to complain about streets and sidewalks? That'll help quite a bit. Quite a bit. New businesses that are coming in town in District 6. Dutch Brothers Coffee. We may have 2 locations in Ventura. Actually, one is going to be on Telegraph in Ashwood, but the other one is going to be right here at Tractor Supply parking lot. So, yeah, isn't that cool? And then, if you haven't been there yet, the Cava Mediterranean food at the old Rubio site over here on Victoria Avenue. They have Mediterranean bowls and so that might be a place you want to check out. Have you been to Sips yet over coffee, wine, beer here on Johnson Drive? They're there and they're around. There's also going to be, yes, that one is called it's Coffee, Wine, and Beer. It's right down here by the old movie theater. Then we have Round 1 Bowling and Arcade, which is planning to open. It's not District 6, but it's near it's going to be in the old Sears building at the Pacific View Mall. No date yet. And then this is in District 6, but hopefully you guys will all be excited about this. Black Angus is opening next week. So it will be back after being closed for a year. Yeah, I have people that, being born and raised here, I had people that used to work there when they were in high school, and they were like, hey, when this means a lot to me. When's it going to open? So it is opening. There was a question about cannabis retail licenses. And after, the big legal battle that we had for permits, how come there's few cannabis shops? How come no more opened up? Well, I got to tell you, the council, that came back to us where there was one who wasn't completed with their construction yet, and so they wanted an extension. And then there was another one that they thought, well, we're just not going to do it. We can't do it. So it was going to be 5 licenses, and I think 4 of them were in District 6. And it ended up being 3 active operators right now. And so then we were asked at the city council meeting, well, do you want to give them an extension? What do you want to do with this? Do you want to reissue this one that they ran out of time and they're not going to do it anymore? And we all said, no, we don't want to deal with this anymore. We're going to leave it where it's at. We don't want to give any more license. We don't want to give them an extension. It is what it is, and it's ended. So just in case you're wondering. So we were all happy about that. Or we decided that was you get elected, and then that becomes like your life for a while. This whole cannabis thing, and you're like, we didn't want it again. It was just like so much having to go back. So anyway, that's over. We talked about the inmate release from jail. Council chambers are still under construction, so our meetings are at the Wright Center over on Day Road at Ventura College. We're going to be there till probably mid-January, and then we'll be back at our chambers at City Hall. I also wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, after 30 years, Fire Chief David Ndaya is retiring, and he was 12 years as our chief. So he'll be retiring effective December the 20th, and there's recruitment going on, and there's things that are happening right now. But he was with us as our chief for 12 years, but in the department for quite some time. I also wanted to let you know that the General Plan and Climate Action Resiliency Plan have been adopted on October 21st, and I know that probably Carba has given you a lot of updates throughout the years because she's been on it almost a lifetime, I think, 6 years, for whatever the case is. But for those of you who don't know, the general plan is Ventura's big picture roadmap for the future. It lays out the community's vision and sets rules and guidelines for things like housing, land use, roads, parks, historic and natural resources, water supply, public safety, and even noise. It guides the decision that the city makes about how money is spent and how private development is shaped. In short, it influences almost every part of our daily life, where we live, where we work, and how we get around. So, Carbus, thanks so much for all your time and energy that you spent on that. So that's finally approved. We finally approved the CARP as well. Let me just share a couple of other things. Foul weather shelter is starting December the 1st. That's changed a little bit. So we have the foul weather shelter is for people that are 62 years and older and that are living in the streets that need to get out of the elements. And so it activates when it's less than 40 degrees or more than a half inch of rain, either one. Then it's activated and we take them to Motel 6 on Harbor. Not here. We used to take them here. Half of them here, half over there. They're all going to be on Motel 6 on Harbor. It's different this year. Instead of 20 rooms, we have 40 rooms. So those that are the most vulnerable that are going to be, in need of that, we'll make sure, and they get 3 meals. We have churches that help out supplying the meals, and it's a wonderful thing. We've gotten people housed and reunited with their families, and it's been great because some of them, once they're there and they like that room and it's warm and they're clean and they're like, I don't want to go back on the street anymore. How can I get help? And so we help them in that area. So with that, I think my time is just about up. Payment. Oh, thank you. Just the payment. Okay, so I just received this, and it was about the payment of this street and possibly Grand Avenue. So our Public Works Director sent me this message. He said, Public Works has been working from the 2023 Pavement Management Plan for slurry and paving projects. Concrete ADA preliminary work for Telegraph is almost completed, and the paving will begin in the next 2 months or so, depending on weather. The City Council recently awarded a contract for paving on Darling, Pettit, Telegraph to Foothill, and North Bank, Johnson to Elba. Construction on this project will begin in January or early February. The 2 roadway segments mentioned in the email, which are these 2 we talked about, are not in the 2023 management plan, but they are both listed in the current capital improvement plan as unplanned and unfunded at this time. The new payment management plan is due early 2026. Within that plan, we'll look at the priorities for both Grand and the segment of Bristol mentioned. The new payment management plan is based on actual in-person inspections in every roadway in the city. The approach will give the city a very good idea of the needs and priorities. So bottom line is they're coming out, they're inspecting, and once they see it, they're going to go, okay, this is going to be a priority. So thank you. Yes.
If I'm let out of jail here, okay, could you provide transportation to Paris?
Only if I could go.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe we'll try to plan for, thank you. Maybe I'll get contact from you, Councilmember Duran, on the person who is managing the pavement plan, and maybe they could come and present to us at our next meeting, because that's been a top concern for our members. Okay, Great. We are moving on. We are moving up from the City Council now to the County Board of Supervisors, and we have Matt LaVere here with us. And there's a presentation that Carba already has up and ready. So we'd like to invite up Matt LaVere. As a reminder, Matt LaVere served on our City Council and as our mayor before being at the County Board of Supervisors. So we're so thankful that you would come and give us an update at a higher level tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Cassie. Yeah, before I start, I just want to acknowledge Councilmember Duran. Every departing mayor, when they leave office, gets a chance to honor a citizen that they believe has kind of gone above and beyond in their contributions and commitment to the city of Ventura. And when I left being mayor in December 2020 to take this new job, I gave that honor to Jim Duran, as somebody who I'd known for a long time and respected for a long time. And I was proud to give him that award. And that was before I knew you'd be in public service. And having Jim on council as a partner dealing with the Montalvo community, he mentioned the pilot partnership, which I want to give him a lot of credit for. I mean, a lot of it was your idea. And we at the county tried to come up and just support Jim's efforts. And I live right by VCMC, so I deal with the impacts of having a county hospital. And so I know what it's like to have impacts of dealing with a county jail, and those concerns are real and valid. And so I just appreciate everything Jim's doing. I think that pilot project, we hope we can make it long term, and it's going to have real impacts, I think. So thank you, Jim. Okay, it's an honor to be here. I really appreciate giving me the chance to talk. I've been honored to serve as your District 1 County Supervisor for 5 years next month. And I have, I think, close to 15 neighborhood councils in my district, so I try my best to get out to them every couple years. And I think the last time I was here was August 2023. So it's nice to be back. And I think my goal tonight is I really just want to do a quick rundown of basic county operations. I want to highlight a couple projects which I think are important to this community. And then I obviously want to leave enough time for Q&A. So I don't want to shortchange that. The county, similar to a city, is governed by a geographically districted board of supervisors, similar to a city council. And so these are the 5 supervisors currently serving Ventura County. District 4, Janice Parvin, who has Simi Valley Moore Park. Jeff Gorell has Thousand Oaks, Newberry Park. Myself, I have Ventura, all of Ventura, all the way up to almost the Santa Paula city limits. I have all of the Ojai Valley, all the way through the National Forest to Kern County, and then I have kind of the northwest quadrant of Oxnard, and I also have the north coast up to Santa Barbara County line. Kelly Long, who has Camarillo, Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru, and then lastly, my colleague Vianney Lopez, who represents kind of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme. Where am I pointing? That way? That way? That way? That to Carb. No. There we go. Thank you. Similar to also to a city, like at the city council, they really have 2 appointments that they make. They appoint a city manager and a city attorney. It's similar at the county. We have 2 hires that we make, and then we have about 4 or 5 others that the California legislature puts on us. But really our 2 big hires are a county executive officer, a county council, and that is Dr. Savette Johnson. She has served as our county CEO for, I believe it was 3 years this summer. It'll be 4 years. It'll be actually 4 years in March. She is an incredible woman. It's been just a real privilege to work with her. She worked her way up. She was our behavioral health director, deputy director of our healthcare agency, and we had to make a change in our CEO about 4 years ago during a tough time, and she has really stepped up and just done a wonderful job. And I just have such a one of my favorite parts of my job is working with her. She's just an incredible woman. And unlike cities where the city manager hires most of the department heads, at the county there's actually 6 department heads. We have 26 total agencies, but 6 of those are directly elected by the public. So we work with them on budgets, but when it comes to running their shops and kind of their operational mandate, they answer not to the Board of Supervisors, they answer to all of you, the voters of Ventura County. So those are our 6 directly elected department heads. You'll probably recognize that familiar face in the top right, Eric Nazarenko, who's a dear friend and has been doing a wonderful job as our district attorney for going on 5 years in January. Our sheriff, treasurer, tax collector, clerk recorder and registrar of voters, our auditor controller, and our assessor. I'm not going to go over all of these, but I just want to show these faces, and you can see who the other 20 department heads are at the county. We have, when I jump to the county, I've been drinking out of a fire hose, I feel, for the last 5 years, because there's just such a wide-ranging amount of departments that we have and work we do. Everything from air pollution control to agriculture, to child support, to healthcare, to hospitals and clinics and jails and harbors and airports and animal services. It's a lot. We're actually in the middle of doing our disability access plan at the county, and I think we have 350 unique addresses that are county facilities countywide. So you can't go much longer than a block and have a county facility. And then these are our medical examiner. Yeah, you can just see the different men and women that we have serving in leadership roles at the county now. As I mentioned, the county, really at the end of the day, is a safety net provider to many in the community. There's 850,000 residents in the county. We have it's a little over 11,500 employees that work for the county now. We're actually the second largest employer in the entire county. The Navy base has a little more than 20,000, but we're second. And so we have an incredible workforce, and it's you know, I was speaking with Mark before. I have been just continually impressed with the quality of the employees that we have, from line staff to management, just some wonderful people, community servants, serving all of you at the county. We just approved our budget at the end of June this year, about $3.3 billion balanced budget. You can see there the breakdown. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But you'll see at the top, let me go back a slide. You'll see at the top of that 3.3, about half of that, about 46% is what's called our general fund, and that's money that we have discretion over how it's spent. The remaining 54% is largely state and federal programs where the money comes in and it's almost a pass-through at the county. In many ways, the county is just an arm of the state and an arm of the federal government in terms of the services that we take money in from those governments and provide services to county residents. But you can see 46% is general fund, and that's where we have the discretion. So it's about a $1.5 billion general fund. And you can see, I think, you look at any agency and you can look at their budget to see their priorities. And two big priorities of the county are both administration of justice, creating a safe community with high quality of life, and health and human services. Administration of justice, 40% of our general fund. That includes our sheriff, our district attorney, our public defender, and our probation agency. And then 40% health and human services. That's largely our healthcare agency, which is our 2 hospitals, our 35 health clinics, our public health department, our behavioral health department. And so 80% of our general fund goes to those 2 issue areas, and I think it's really important, a safe and healthy community. The county financial condition right now is very strong, and I say right now because it's a balanced budget. We have the highest credit rating from all of the various credit agencies. We have the highest rainy day reserves we've ever had at close to $200 million. Our pension system is 98% funded. Things are really stable right now. But I say that recognizing the storm clouds coming. I am losing sleep over what's coming over the next few years from a financial standpoint at the county. We budget, so much of our revenue comes from both property tax and sales tax. And we typically budget at 5% valuation increases in property tax. We've seen that historically. Last year was 4%. We're forecasting 3% this year, and we think it's going down. The property market is I don't want to say cratering, but it's going down. Sales tax is softening. I think a lot of people are worried right now with the economy, and they're spending less. And I get it. And so that's going down. Prop 1, which passed at the federal level, the big, beautiful bill, that is going to have significant impacts to our county health system. We're anticipating, we've had about a $10 million cut this year. We think about $20 to $30 million in 2026, and we're forecasting maybe up to $200 million in cuts in 2027, if that cuts. And I will say that it's close to a quarter of the county relies on the county health system for their health care. We run the Gold Coast Health, or we work with Gold Coast Health Plan, which is the local Medi-Cal funded health plan for those who are disadvantaged in our community. So close to a quarter of county residents rely on us for their health care, and we are going to have significant cuts moving forward. And that likely means cuts in services and cuts in locations. And I say I'm losing sleep. I'm not exaggerating. 2027 is going to scare me because that's when the big cuts kick in. So right now things are good, but we are definitely cautious moving forward.
Did you say it was from the big beautiful bill?
For the health care. Yeah, the health care. But the property tax and the sales tax, those are going to be, we feel that in the general plan, right? In the general fund. Yeah. I want to touch on 3 areas which I think are important to District 6 and to the Montalvo community. One is homelessness, and I have some more slides next, but I want to talk about what the county, and oftentimes in partnership with the city, is doing in our river bottoms. Obviously, Santa Clara River Bottom right here has many impacts in the Montalvo community. Both the county and the city and our homeless liaison unit teams. I guess in the city, it's the patrol task force. The county created a homeless liaison unit within our sheriff's department 2 years ago, which we modeled on the city's patrol task force, which I saw from my time on council does incredible work. And I think our homeless liaison unit team is doing incredible work as well. But we're really focusing on encampments in the river bottom. We recognize that there are impacts from those encampments in the nearby communities. And I wanted to highlight some of the work we're doing down there. We are working in both the Ventura River and the Santa Clara River. My team and I try to get down there quarterly with our homeless liaison unit team to check out the latest status, to see the work they're doing. That's the list of agencies that are collaborating to make impacts down in our watersheds. I mentioned our sheriff, but our healthcare agency, our human services agency, which is most of our social service and homeless providers. The police, Ventura Police, Oxnard Police, our Public Works Department, United Water Conservation District, which owns land down there. The Nature Conservancy owns land. There's just so many jurisdictional lines in the river bottom, and we all have to work together. And we have been doing a lot of work, especially this year. We did a massive cleanup in 22, and it goes to how hard homelessness is. In 2022, we cleaned up every encampment in the county jurisdiction, generally from River Park down to the ocean. And we were able to house, in that cleanup efforts, 168 people. And great news, right? The hard part is within about 6 months, I think about half of those individuals had left the housing we provided them and were back in the watershed. And it just goes to the complex, difficult work that it takes to deal with homelessness in Ventura County. But just recently this year, we've cleaned up numerous encampments. We've arrested the people who are committing the crimes that we know of. We go down there with an open hand first. We try to provide help. We're not trying to police our way out of this. We're really trying to get people the help they need. And some people take it, some don't. And if you're committing crimes, we're going to arrest you. And so that's some of that. We've been able to relocate 68 individuals this year and provide them housing. You can see their arrests and the number of the amount of money it takes. Because when we clean up an encampment, our public works team comes down there and hauls all that junk away. If you've ever been down there, it's amazing the amount of junk that gets accumulated in these encampments. And so it's a lot of work, not only to clear the encampments, but to clean the encampments. Now, speaking of homelessness, I want to leave this issue on some positive news. We just had our point-in-time count in January 2025. We got the numbers back a few months ago. And you can see this year, the county-wide, the homeless population is now down to a little under 2,000. That's a 20% decrease in the last 2 years. And when you look at homelessness, there's a couple ways to look at it. There's both unsheltered homelessness. That's the homeless who are living outside in the river bottoms, in parks. And then there's sheltered homeless, and those are the individuals who we've been able to convince to go into emergency housing, like the Arch Homeless Shelter in Ventura. And so they're sheltered and unsheltered homeless. And you can see we've seen a decrease in both, almost 23% decrease in sheltered homeless. That means people who are currently in emergency shelter that we've been able to find longer-term solutions for. And then also about 11% decrease just this year in the unsheltered count. And so with knowing that, there's two jurisdictions I want to highlight. And that's every city in the county and their numbers. And you see two lines that really stand out. It is the city of Oxnard and the city of Ventura. City of Oxnard has seen a 24% decrease the last 2 years. The city of Ventura has seen an almost 20%, a 19% decrease the last 2 years. And people ask me why that is. Why are Oxnard and Ventura doing such a better job, really, than everybody else? And I think there's a clear answer to that. It's because those are the two cities that have prioritized building the housing necessary to work our way out of this problem. Both Ventura and Oxnard have built shelters. They have built transitional housing. They have built permanent supportive housing. Every step of the housing continuum they have focused on. You see it at Valentine Road. You see it in the work of the Housing Authority, the work of other nonprofits like the City Center, and this Councilmember Duran knows very well. There is just what I believe is a citywide effort in both those jurisdictions, thank you, to focus on getting our homeless housed in supportive situations. And when you do that, the numbers speak for themselves.
Matt, but isn't that because we're kind of the larger areas or cities?
Well,
Too?
no, not necessarily, because Simi Valley and Thousand Oaks are both bigger than the city of Ventura, and they haven't seen the
Numbers don't look that high
the impact. Yeah.
everywhere else.
Now you look at Simi Valley, has not seen that great of a decrease. Thousand Oaks has not seen that great of a decrease. They're all doing great work. This is the first time where I think that every city in the county is actually fully engaged on the issue. It used to be that some cities had their head in the sand. Historically, I would not say that about any city in the county now. I think every city is committed to this regional effort to address homelessness. But Ventura and Oxnard is obviously the largest city in the county by about 100,000 people. But you look at Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, Ventura, all very similar sized, and Ventura has seen a much greater decrease percentage-wise in their homeless count. And speaking of permanent supportive affordable housing, this is just a list of projects countywide that are currently in the pipeline. Not only have we brought units online, which have resulted in the numbers I just showed, but these are all of the projects currently in the pipeline, some of which should begin construction very soon. And you can see 470 total units, 307 of those being permanent supportive units, 83 actual affordable ownership units, but you're talking, close to 500 units countywide, which are going to help us bring those numbers down even further as we do the count every January. And it's as I mentioned when I was trying to give credit to all the cities, you see those units in cities across the county, and that's why I say I think every city is fully invested in this effort. One element of homelessness, which means really a lot to me, is veteran homelessness. The men and women who put on our nation's uniform. I think the least that we can do is when they come back is to provide them dignified housing, and it breaks my heart to see historically the number of veterans living in our streets, whether it's trauma from their service or other reasons. There historically have been a lot of veterans living in our streets, and there are almost 50,000 veterans in Ventura County. With the Navy base, there's a big veteran population in the county. But we've seen a 53% decrease in veteran homelessness the last 2 years. And even since that time, since that count, we've been able to place 40 additional veterans at Ormond Beach Villas and the Ventura Springs on the east end of Ventura, which just opened. We have 20 who are currently matched to housing units and should be off the streets very soon. There's 30 who are unhoused that we know of that are awaiting matches. And actually just 13 were provided housing at the Dolores Huerta Gardens in South Oxnard this past summer. We believe that the actual number of veteran homelessness in Ventura County is now down into the single digits. And so this is a problem which if you ask me honestly, I don't think we're ever going to solve homelessness. I think we can solve veteran homelessness. I really do. And we're getting very close to doing that. Mental health and wellness. I get often asked questions about mental health and the services available. The county has a behavioral health department, a mental health department. It's our job to provide that service to individuals who, as I mentioned, were on Medi-Cal or government insurance. If you have private insurance, you don't go through our system. But the gap in our system that we really found the past few years is we have great practitioners, we have great clinics, we have a great crisis team, but the gap we found was locked facilities that can treat those living with the most serious forms of mental illness. What we found was that if you were in that group, you often had to go to Kern County or LA County for a bed, and that was not good for the patient. That was not good for the family member who loved their family member and wanted to be close to them. And so in the last year, we've been able, we just got close to $94 million through the state, and we're going to be building 2 facilities, one at our county campus near Cal State Channel Islands on Lewis Road, and one in Simi Valley, locked facilities to where if you are living in Ventura County and you need that really acute level of care, a locked facility, you'll be able to stay in the county. And so I'm really excited to get these projects online, not only for the individuals that need the help, but their families. I assume this group's been briefed on the Santa Paula, the branch line. We just met in Saticoy recently on Monday to talk further about it because the county is kind of taking up the last stretch of the project. But this is a wonderful job by the city, by Derek Towers and the active transportation team. This is going to do wonders, I think, for the east end of Ventura. I envisioned it as kind of the Ojai bike trail of East Ventura. And so I'm incredibly excited to see this. Derek mentioned on Monday that they hope to finish design by January and go out to construction in the first or second quarter of 2026. I don't need to go over all these slides, then you've been up to date, but just something I think is going to be wonderful for the Montalvo community in East Ventura. There's the kind of the timeline as we have it. So you can read that. And I will give this presentation to Cassie if you want to pass it out too. Okay, that's where you can learn more. You don't need to learn more. You know everything. The Moon Ditch, which is the watershed canal channel just on the other side of the 101. Constant graffiti down there, a real eyesore for this community. My team has been down there trying to clean up the graffiti. We work with our public works team since Watershed has jurisdiction over that ditch. We were able to secure $75,000, and the county is actually contributing $75,000 more to build a mile-long mural in that channel to really beautify it. What I've been told is there's kind of a honor among thieves that when a mural is painted, taggers don't tag the mural. And so we said, we cleaned it up and it'd just be re-tagged a month later. So we were able to get this money. We're going to do this mile-long project. We are going to be approving it at our meeting next week. That's some of the pictures of my team down there cleaning up the ditch on multiple occasions. But yeah, so I'm really excited. It's going to bring students in to help with the project. We're working with Studio Channel Islands, which is a local art nonprofit. But we think starting in Q1 in 2026, we're going to start that project. It's going to take about 4 to 5 months. Excuse me. I think it's going to be just a wonderful long-term beautification project here in this community. And there, my last slide, I want to show this video. Anna, and I didn't mention, I'm here with my chief of staff, Anna Malgoza. If you raise your hand, Anna. Yeah, we're always here. We'll leave our contact information. But how do I play the video? Oh. Okay. It's going to highlight the project. Is the sound not working? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, our tech person is not here.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I'll send this to everybody. You can watch it. It's about a minute long. It's just kind of highlighting the project, and it's gives some good information on it. Okay. Whew, I'm done. And I have 5 minutes, I believe, about for Q&A. 6.5, even better. I went fast. I'm sorry. I speak fast. I apologize. But I wanted to keep you on schedule.
Any questions for Supervisor?
All right. That was easy. Oh, okay. The artist, the nonprofit's going to be working with the local youth in developing the theme. Yeah, we want it to be something appropriate, maybe coastal, something that fits the community. Yeah. Sir, Mark.
The two mental health facilities that you mentioned, were those ideas that Suze Montgomery was pushing for some time, those types of facilities?
Yeah, Mark was asking with the two locked facilities that I mentioned, whether or not that was something that Suze Montgomery championed, and it was. I know she had a lot of interest that she championed, both our seniors, but also mental health. And she talked about it. It's been recognized as a need And when I came onto the Board of Supervisors, we actually had a consultant come in, and we wanted data showing what the real gaps in the system were. And the data showed that that was a gap. And so Sue's recognized that long ago, just based on, I think, on her experience in the community. And so,
I'm so glad to see that those two are going to be built.
yeah. So it's going to be, what is it? It's a 50, I think it's about 60, 70 beds total. And when those are built, we will not have to send anybody out of county anymore, which is huge. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
For the older people in our community, and there are a lot of us now, the only place I know to go to is on the avenue. Is there anything on this side?
For
Seniors?
just for services, programming. Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. Does the Salvation Army have some stuff at the facility on Pettit? Yeah.
Nothing, because like on the avenue, they do classes, they have all kinds of,
That's only senior center, the city senior center that I know of.
only senior center.
But I know that Salvation Army has something similar over there on Pettit, on this part of town. Yeah.
There's quite a few classes too at the Branca Vista Park.
Oh,
And they're, yeah,
really? Okay. And I think VASE does classes, the Ventura continuing education. I believe they do. And I think the college has some offerings too. So there's definitely offerings, but not physical senior centers. Okay, Carva.
Do we have a sense of how many, like countywide, like how many farm workers and like local immigrants have been taken by ICE?
Who?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, Carva asked if we have an idea of the total number of people who have been detained by ICE. They don't share that with us. My understanding is they typically give us advance notice or give our local law enforcement advance notice that they are going to be in the county. They generally don't tell us when or where. And so I know that we have asked many times to get more data on what's happening. And I don't believe we have the actual numbers besides kind of some of the numbers you see online, which I have no way of validating. But yeah, we don't get that from ICE. What I've seen recently is I haven't heard of as many as aggressive tactics recently. Obviously, we saw what happened this summer. But what I've heard recently, just kind of word of mouth, is that they're doing some targeted one-off operations, but no large operations that I'm aware of. Yeah.
I mean, who's gonna pick everything here?
It just, yeah, I'm an ag lawyer by training, so I know the ag community very well. And our community is, in many ways, entirely dependent on this labor, both not only agriculture, but hospitality, construction, restaurants. I tell people we've kind of created right now this system where we've created this economic system that relies on a certain type of labor. Yet we're trying to attack that very labor force, and it's not going to end up well for Ventura County economically. And so it's yeah, I think this could be an 8-hour conversation. I completely agree with it. If I don't want more criminals in our community. If you're committing crimes, I understand deportation at that time. But so many of these people have been in our community for decades. Their kids are in our schools. They go to our churches. They are members. They're part of the fabric of this community. And they've done, in my view, nothing wrong. In fact, they're really contributing to this community in many ways. And when you see them getting picked up, that's really concerning to me. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you for being so candid with us, Supervisor Levere. Okay, we are on to our Ventura water presentation. Many of us received information in the mail about the rate increase, and so we have a whole team here for us tonight. I'm going to invite up, please come up, Sarah Mulder, Teray McGee, and Linda Samansky are going to make a presentation, and hopefully we can all get a better understanding of what's coming down the pike from Ventura Water. Thank you for being here.
we'll get questions at the end, right? We'll get a chance to ask questions. Yeah, right?
Okay, great. So James was reminding us that we're going to hold our questions. We won't interrupt the presentation, and then we will have time for questions at the end. Great. Thank you.
And the clicker is in the back? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Good evening. My name is Sarah Mulder, and I'm the Water Resources Manager for Ventura Water, which is the City of Ventura's Water and Wastewater Department. I have Trey McGee with me. She's the Utility Billing Manager, and Linda Sumansky, who's the Ventura Water Peer Program Director. We wanted to, oh, I guess I'm already on the second slide. We are here to share some updates about the proposed water rates and wastewater rates that will be implemented in fiscal year 2027, so starting July 1st of 2026, if approved by City Council. And really the takeaway from this slide is that responsible investment is needed for many different reasons in both our water and our wastewater systems. It's really challenging to increase rates anytime, but particularly now, the city is facing increased pressures on regulatory and environmental requirements of our systems. And we have lots of aging infrastructure. A lot of the system was built more than 70 years ago. And so it's a constant effort to replace that, but a lot of the system comes to kind of critical ages around that period. Ventura Water provides service to more than 113,000 residents. We have 700 miles of water and wastewater pipelines going all over the city. 23 pump and lift stations that move water or wastewater to where it needs to go. 4 treatment plants, 3 water treatment plants, and 1 wastewater plant that keeps drinking water safe as well as the environment. And additionally, as you're all aware, and Supervisor Lovier touched on it, cost pressures that are coming from both federal and state levels, as well as just economic pressure. That affects us exceptionally hard when it comes to operation and maintenance, so just the regular nuts and bolts of our systems, as well as our capital improvement projects that are needed to update and replace that aging infrastructure. And then additionally, those supply cost pressures come from a 4th Avenue and hit us on our actual water supply. Some of our water comes from the Ventura River, from local groundwater basins, Lake Casitas. All of our supplies right now are local, and so the same operations and maintenance and capital improvement costs that affect those sources or the agencies that we pay to receive that water trickles down to us. Next slide. So as a local government-run water department for your city, we are not for profit. Ventura Water, even though it doesn't say city in the name, is just your city. And every dollar that comes in through rates is reinvested in the water and wastewater system. Primarily, that goes into operations and maintenance, those capital improvement projects, or those are really the big ticket upgrades needed for infrastructure, and protection of the environment, as well as securing future water supply, particularly to prepare for drought and disasters. And next slide. Sorry, I have them printed because my eyes are not that great. So some of the key capital improvement projects that we have coming up include upgrades at our wastewater treatment facility. This is located down near the harbor. Some of you might be familiar with our treatment and settling ponds that are open to the public. People really love to go birding and walk their kids down there. The wastewater treatment plant was built over 70 years, parts of it were built over 70 years ago, and we need a major upgrade to that process. And it's commonly referred to as a membrane bioreactor, or MBR, that you might see in outreach, that would bring that facility up into both regulatory compliance for the future and higher quality of wastewater discharge. And Linda's going to talk more about that. We also have the east to west water line interconnection. This allows us to better move water around the city between our pressure zones. And traditionally, the city was built from west to east. And so the water flows mostly in that direction, and we'd like to be able to also move it more effectively east to west. And so it not only improves our ability to function in future droughts, but also just to get our supplies where residents need it. And then the State Water Interconnection Project. The Ventura Water has had an allocation for state water for many decades, but no physical connection to it. And so we've really sold that water historically to someone who does have a connection, but we would like to take it. So this project is at 100% design and going into construction next year through a connection to Cayugas Municipal Water, who has a connection to state water already, and then we'll wheel the water through. And that will really benefit, in particular, the east side for water quality, as well as water supply security overall. And then Linda's going to talk more about the Ventura Water Pier program, which is a wonderful multi-benefit project that's going to treat and reuse water that's currently discharged to the estuary at the Santa Clara River from our wastewater treatment plant, and instead we'll treat it to drinking water standards that will improve our water supply and our water quality, particularly on the east side. Next slide. So the city updates its water and wastewater rates about every 5 years. We're on a 5-year cycle. And that the study that supports this update is based on a comprehensive look at the cost of service to supply water and treat wastewater throughout the city, and then a rate design study that gets layered after that. And that study is taken to our Water Commission for input, and particularly to focus on key policy objectives. So the Water Commission identified 3 main policy objectives in 2025, which are rate stability, and they evaluated fixed and base charges, as well as reevaluated the wastewater billing unit maximum. So on your wastewater bill, you're billed volumetrically for your water use up to a cap. So they were looking at what that cap should be, if it should stay or change. The second key policy objective that was focused on was financial stability. So looking at what the fixed and base charge is for your water and wastewater, and the water usage rate that's actually variable, and trying to find the right combination of that. Lastly, affordability was a focus, and the tier threshold for essential water use. So at what break point does that first tier start was evaluated. And then they also expanded the rate assistance program, or discussed expanding the existing rate assistance program that Trey will talk about more later. Next slide. Thanks. And I'll hand it over to Linda. Do you want you can see.
All right, so thank you. We're going to talk just a little bit more detail about the rate setting process and the rates that we have actually recommended to council for adoption on December 9th. So where we start out is with our financial plan. All the things that Sarah mentioned, we look out over the next 5 to 10 years to see how much money do we need to accomplish all those things that we just went over. And so as part of that financial plan, we have established what we believe the rate increases are that are needed to support all of that work that we need to do. What I want to do is kind of translate that a little bit more for you and what that may mean to your bill. So next slide, please. So when we go to do this, the second part after we said this is how much revenue we need, we have to go in and figure out, how do we parse out, where that revenue is coming from and who is benefiting from the different services that we have. So we do have a number of customer classes. You can see them up here. We have single and multifamily, we have commercial, and we have irrigation. So those are the types of services that we provide for all the different users within the city. Next slide. So when we look on the water side, we have different rates for both wastewater and for water. So when we look at our water rates, we do have it broken down into two different components. One of those components is based on how much water you are using. So if you ever look at your bill, you'll be able to see on there that you're categorized by a tier, kind of based on how much water you're using. The lowest tier are folks who basically are using water for your normal day and your normal life type of things. So, doing your dishes, washing your clothes, flushing your toilet, your showers, those types of things. When you start to bring in a little bit of lawn and irrigation, you can make it up into the tier 2 area. So it does reflect a little bit more water that is being used on the outside versus just inside. And then if you're in tier 3, you may have a much larger piece of property. You may have fruit trees, you're irrigating, those types of things. So you're using even like a larger amount of water. So we do break down our cost based on how much water you're using, if it's all inside, if there's a little bit of outside, or if you have the larger property. So next slide. We also have a fixed component. So this is just, so that we can service you. You have the meter coming, the meter that allows the water to come to your house. A portion of what we're collecting is what we call fixed and goes towards all of that. That number is based on the type of service that you have. So if you're a single family resident, you probably have a certain size meter, and that your fixed charge is based on that. If you're a commercial unit, you're probably using a lot more water. We have a different set of equipment that we use to get you your water. Your meter is bigger so that we can actually read that larger amount of water. You have a different fixed cost for that. So what Water Commission did this year is we typically on our fixed charges would collect about 30% of our water revenue needs. What Water Commission said is, let's reduce that down to 25%. So how much water we know we are going, or how much money we know we're going to collect is going to go from 30% down to 25%. Now, we still have to have that certain amount of revenue, but we're actually trying to give the consumer more control over how much that is by how much water you're going to be using on the variable side. So if you do reduce your water usage, you might actually see a reduction in, or not as high an increase in your water payments. So next slide. So on the wastewater side, we have that same fixed charge, and we also have kind of that variable charge. We talked about, how much water you're using. We actually have a charge based on how much wastewater is coming back to us for treatment. So this year, what we've looked at is reducing the overall flow of where the kind of cutoff is, because we know that the water that's coming back to us is your indoor usage. So we're trying to better line up how much water you are using, which we're basing your wastewater rate on, so that it's really only your indoor usage. So we've actually, for the single family and multifamily, we've reduced how much water the cap is. So, if you're using, 10 HCF of water, that's the cap on how much we're going to charge you on the wastewater side, because we know any more water that you're using above that, it's not coming back to us. You're watering your lawn or your fruit trees or something like that. So we've tried to make that adjustment to make it a little bit more fair. So next slide. So I wanted to go over just a little bit about some combined bills and what you're going to see in actual rate changes. So for some reason, if you look at the columns, not all of the labels are up there. Sorry, when we look at our slides, we do actually see that. But what we've done is, as the slides go across, our first column is 600 cubic feet of water. That's an equivalent to gallons. It's just another way to measure how much water you're using. But if you look at your bill, it's done in 100 cubic feet. So we have 6 in the first column, 8 is our next column, and then the last column is 13. So we're trying to kind of represent our different customers here. So 6 is the median amount that is used by all of the customers within the city. 8 is the average of all of our customers, and 13 represents someone who is watering, that larger property, those fruit trees, those types of things. But I think what we kind of want to point out to you here is that over the next 5 years that we're proposing rates for, your combined bill, if you're a single family resident using these amounts of water, you're going to see approximately a $20 increase a year in your water costs. Sorry. This is a combined service, so this is water and wastewater. So next slide.
For a whole year,
$20 a month. $20 a month. So we do have the same, we know that, not everyone here is single family. Some folks are, multifamily. There can be, we charge based on the different amounts of dwellings. So if you're in a large apartment complex, it's slightly different for your fixed versus if you're a duplex. So these columns, the first one is the 2 dwelling units. The second column there is actually 10 dwelling units. And again, as you look over those 5 years, you're seeing that $20 a month increase for each of the 5 years that we're proposing rates for. So next slide. So we did want to look at comparisons to some of our neighboring agencies. Many of the folks that are supplying water and wastewater to all of our neighboring cities are seeing the same pressures that we are. And we wanted to take a look at where they were in terms of updating their rates. And some of them are going through the same process that we are right now. Some did it last year. Some we believe will be coming up. But basically the changes that we're seeing for kind of our average amount of water used puts us kind of in the middle of the pack. With these new rates that we are proposing relative to our neighbors. And next slide. If you look at the median amount of water that is used in the city of Ventura, we're towards the lower middle portion of the pack. So, rate increases are always difficult. We understand that, but we are trying to contain costs as much as we can, and we do. We're trying to make sure that we're not somewhere way out of whack, and our neighbors are telling us that they're seeing the same pressures that we are. So, next slide. All that to say, those are generalizations on numbers. We do have a bill calculator on our website. So if you were to take your water bill and you go to our website, we do have a calculator on there. So you can take the numbers off of your bill, how much water you've used, the type of dwelling that you have, single family, commercial, multifamily, whatever. And you can plug those in and you can see what your actual rate difference will be. So it's very individualized. Not everybody is the same. You can have, same family, same number of kids, different irrigation. So this is a really great tool to go and use. And then if you did have any questions about that, we're always available to help you out with that. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Teray now, and she's going to talk a little bit more about some customer information and some more details on our process that we're going through.
Thank you. Okay, so we know that rate increases are impactful, but they are necessary. So what we wanted to do was put some context around them in terms of cost of living. So this slide contains some data from MIT's living wage calculator and the United Way Real Cost Measures of California, which breaks down household finance requirements and income requirements. The chart here assumes that a household with 2 working adults and 2 school-aged children living in Ventura County would need roughly $126,000 a year to cover all of the expenses. Currently, the combined water and wastewater bill for a typical customer in Ventura is $1,400 a year. The first year of this proposed rate change, it would increase to $1,644 per year, about $244 a year. Next slide, please. Okay, so we know throughout this entire process, we have worked with Raftellus, our rate consultant, the Water Commission, and City Council to keep the proposed rates as low as possible and to make sure that the impacts were as few as possible. But there are some customers that, regardless of how any increase that we do, how low they are, they will still have some difficulties. So we do offer our customer assistance and our water saving programs to help lower the cost of the bill. Now, our customer assistance program offers a 50% discount off of the fixed cost of the customer's bill, the fixed water cost of the bill. Currently, we are working to expand our customer assistance program so that anytime customers need some assistance, we can step in and help them out. We most recently did that with our bridge program for customers that were impacted by the government shutdown. We offered an opportunity for them to defer payments, and we would work with them on making payments once the government opened back up, which I understand that happened today. So. Next slide, please. So Prop 218 requires Ventura Water to send notices to all customers at least 45 days before the public hearing. This public hearing will be taking place on December 9th at 5 p.m. before the City Council. Verbal comments are welcomed, however, only written protests will count towards the official protest total. If you see there is a URL there, our website, you can get the instructions for the legal protest, or you can find them in the notice that was mailed to you, and it is available in English and Spanish. Next slide, please. So how you can participate? You can visit our website to view the full Prop 218 notice, use the bill calculator that Linda spoke of earlier, and you can see all of our FAQs and any other information that you may need around the rates. You can also attend one of the upcoming meetings or open house, take a tour of the wastewater facility, and you can submit a written protest or objection following the instructions in your notice. We encourage everybody to please stay engaged, get your questions answered before the hearing on December 9th, and then also attend the hearing at the Wright Center, I believe, on December 9th. The next slide. Okay, so we have time for questions, if anyone has any questions.
I'm just gonna help. Get him
Okay.
on the mic.
Oh, thank you.
5 minutes. Go ahead, Mark.
One of the first slides that you had was your financial plan.
Financial plan on the first slide.
It showed 5 years worth of income.
5 years worth of increases are shown.
Sorry, I'm gonna wait for that slide. Yeah, that one. Okay, so some of the later slides were talking about the 1-year increase for 2026 for the coming year over the current. But those percentages show, so the rate plan is over a 5-year plan.
So the rate plan is over 5 years. Many of the slides talked about only the first year increase.
So that was a question to the staff. First question is, those are the percentages that you project to have adjusted each and every year for the next 5 years.
That those percentages will be each and every year for the next 5 years. Is that correct?
So yes, these percentages are what we had then translated into costs for you on the next set of slides. So if you could maybe just go forward a couple of slides. Sorry about that. Keep going. Right there. That's good. So those percentages translate into these numbers, if that makes sense. So, we said, it would be a 10.5% increase on your water rate. The first year, an 18% increase on your wastewater rate. That translates into 2027 on this. So this is the monthly increase that you will see based on that percentage. And as you go down the line, those percentages are reflected in each of those increases.
So let me just sort of talk out loud and you correct me if I'm wrong. So if in 2025, we're say about $100, and in 2026 it'd be about 117, in 2027 it'd be about 137. Those are combined water and wastewater.
So yes, so that middle column that we're talking about, which is kind of our average user, that 10% increase in water rate and that 18% increase in the first year, and the wastewater rates go down a little bit over time. Those are reflected in these numbers. So this is your combined bill based on those proposed percentages of increase.
Okay, so just for argument's sake, so let's say you're in the middle column and in 2025 you're spending $100 in 2025. By 2031, you'd be spending more than 100% more. You go from 100 to 218.99. That would be the rate roughly in about
5 years.
5 or 6 years.
5
Is
years.
that correct?
So yes, the question is, we can expect that, over that 5-year period, we're going to go from, 117, which we are paying, that will be, we're paying now, to 218. So yes, the percentage is you're going to about double your combined bill. So yes, you're interpreting that correctly.
For the sake of time, we'll move to the next question. Thank you.
I'll ask my question here so the folks can hear it. So following up to that, I have a question about what we can do as residents, tenants, homeowners in terms of efficiency. And I have a question specifically related to how the variable rates are calculated for water and wastewater. So I got my rain barrels from the city, so that's reducing the water variable rate that I'm using. But for the wastewater variable rate, if I were to get like a gray water system, or like if I basically said like, oh, my washing machine or my dishwasher, I'm just going to collect that rather than it go back to the city, is that counted for, or is it just I used water and that wastewater is going to be paired to that? Or is it like, is there 2 meters basically, or is it just the one?
So great question. And the answer kind of depends. I hate to say that, but so here we go. We do have a lot of really great programs for folks to do efficiency upgrades, and I recommend that you go to our websites. We have toilet rebates, we have laundry, washing machine rebates. We have the ability to help you recirculate your hot water so you don't have to wait as long for it to show up in your shower. Carva mentioned that we have the rain barrels. We actually have folks who will come out on site and do an audit for you, so they can kind of help you with, where you may be using more water than you realize. So we have great programs for that, and please take advantage of them. We have grant funding that helps us do this, so we highly recommend that you do that. As far as the wastewater goes, it kind of depends on whether you are up close to that flow limit that we talked about. So if you are using water above that amount of volume of water, then if you do a gray water, that type of thing, then yes, you will actually be able to see that difference. If you're going to do that, then you probably won't. So, it's the way the wastewater is calculated. It's based on your water flow. We are not metering your wastewater. There's no good way to do that. So, being able to cut that wastewater side is a little more difficult. It really kind of depends on you using less water. Focus on water.
One question over here from Marilyn.
Yeah, I have a question. So the numbers that you have up here is all at the stage level that we're in right now for water, the drought situation.
The levels you have on these slides are based on the drought.
Drought this winter, this could go much
So if we go back into drought, will the rates go up even higher?
extremely high.
Yeah, so we do have drought contingency rates. I don't believe that we have a slide here. If we do go into drought, we're obviously, not going to be selling as much water. So we do need to make up the revenue. We do, as part of this whole study, have what those rates would be. The increases are not, I would say, very, incredibly high. But we do need to make up that revenue. And so depending on the stage of drought that we're in, we will be enacting what we call our drought stage rates. They are available on our website if you want to go and take a look what those are.
Okay, I have just one more question. I understand the infrastructure, all that needs to be touched up. It is old and stuff. Is there anybody here that can elaborate a little bit more on the Ventura Pure? How we're working with that recycled water?
The residents says that they understand that everything needs to be improved. We understand that the infrastructure needs improvement. Can you give us any more information about Ventura Water Pure, the recycled water?
Yeah. Sure. So happy to talk just a little bit more about Ventura Water Pure. It is our program at the city. What we're going to do is take the recycled water that we're creating now and using to water the golf courses and water some parks, but most of it is really going to the Santa Clara River estuary right now. We're just discharging it. So we're treating it to a fairly high level and then just putting it out to the ocean, basically. So what Ventura Water Pure does is take that resource that we're just putting out to the ocean, we take it, we purify it and treat it some more so that it is actually a drinking water level. And then on top of that, we will take that water and we'll inject it into the groundwater. That gives it even some more type of treatment, just like your regular groundwater. And then we'll pull that out so that we have a water source that isn't really dependent upon the rain and us, and the climate and those types of things. So it's a reliable source that's always going to be there, whereas some of our other sources that we have, a little more dependent on climate. If it's not raining a lot, we're not getting a lot of water going into our groundwater. We're not filling up Lake Casitas, those types of things. This one is much more reliable. And right now, we're basically putting it out to the ocean. So we're going to reuse that. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, so we're gonna actually try and recycle wastewaters.
Yes, that's really what it is. We will be taking our wastewater, which is treated to a fairly high degree right now, enough so that we can use it to water lawns. We're watering our golf courses, those types of things. It does need more treatment to become drinking water, but it's still a fairly good water right now. I mean, we're treating it to a fairly high level. We should reuse it.
So if there were enough protests, then all of the infrastructure would just be pushed back. We would not be able to make the improvements that we need.
Yeah, so if there are enough protests, then council will not be able to vote on December 9th. There would be no vote on being able to accept rates. If there are not enough protests, council still has the ability to say yes or no to accepting the rates that are being proposed. If council were to say no, we would have to work with them on how we rearrange the priorities that we have, and to what level they would be, what types of rates they would like us to have. And we know we would have to make adjustments to what we're doing.
Great. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time. I'm so sorry. We can't applaud. Yes. A wonderful presentation with complicated information. We really appreciate you being here. I just have to squeeze in. We have to vote tonight. Okay, so if you guys want to go gather your things, thank you. It is November. We have an annual election for the board. This should be very quick. The first position is for the chair of the Montalvo Community Council for the next 2 years. The board is going to recommend Carba Eckley. We are open to nominations from the floor. Are there any nominations for the chair position from the floor? Seeing that there are none and Carba is running unopposed, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Carba, you will be our chair moving forward, starting this very moment. No. Okay, the next position is for treasurer. The board recommends Betsy Holt. We are open to nominations from the floor. Seeing none, all in favor of Betsy Holt as treasurer for the Montalvo Area Community Council, please say aye. All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. We welcome Betsy back for another 2 years of service. Thank you so much. The member at large position, we are recommending Mark Abbey tonight here in the front. Do we have any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of Mark as member at large, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. We welcome Mark back to the board as member at large. Thank you very much. The secretary position has been opened up because Carba has now moved to the chair position. So Carba will lead the vote for secretary.
I nominate Cassie as secretary. Any nominations from the floor? I don't hear any. All ayes say yes. I didn't get the language down. All noes. And Cassie, you're the secretary.
Wow, Cassie Lawhead will be the secretary. Because I have vacated the vice chair position, we are going to recommend James Lowry as the vice chair. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, all in favor of James Lowry, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. We welcome James Lowry as the official vice chair of the MAC. Okay, we also have some vacant positions for member at large. We would welcome you to inquire about. Please email us. We would love to have more people join the board. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Are there any more pressing public comments that need to be made at this moment? Okay, we adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much for being here.